Hey there traders, welcome to another market update video. Today is the 25th of May 2021 and we're going to jump on the charts here for Bitcoin. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to run through different time frames, and we've got quite a bit of coins to get through. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them. And I want to talk about all of them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start on the weekly chart, and we're going to hide all the drawing tools just like yesterday. And let's have a look at just what is price telling us right now. We can see that we had a major sell-off due to all kinds of events, but I can assure you the market makers have been out of this market ever since we saw this rejection here. You can see we had an increase in volume, and then from that point onwards we had a decrease in volume all the way up till we made our high. So looking at volume, looking at price moving up, this is something we have spoken about before, is usually a bearish signal. And now we're seeing the drop off back to the price where most of the market makers, most of the volume got back out. So it kind of makes sense that we should see a bit of a bounce, a bit of a buy up around these parts. But looking at the volume on the selling side, we can see that it was quite a significant spike in volume right over here. So that could signal continuation to the downside even further down. And that's what we're going to discuss in today's video. So let's have a look at the monthly as well, because the monthly will be closing this week, end of this week, in about 6 days from now. And looking at the monthly chart throughout the history of Bitcoin here, for example, right over here, we have seen some significant rejections before, even in a bullish market. So for example, from here, 2012, 2011, end of 2011, all the way back up to 2013 was a 2-year bullish cycle, exactly 2 years. And in that 2-year bullish cycle, we did see a major rejection all the way back down to the 10 simple moving average on the monthly chart. So looking at that percentage move back down to the lowest spike, we're seeing an 82.57% rejection. And to the more conservative side, we're looking at about a 75% overall drawdown before we saw continuation to the upside. So let's have a look and see what can we expect moving forward. We can see that we've already touched the 10 simple moving average on the monthly chart. Looking at momentum oscillators here, this is not necessarily a dooming signal in and of itself, but momentum oscillators have confirmed to the downside. Well, we'll have a chance to confirm to the downside in about 6 days from now, from the monthly chart perspective. From the weekly chart perspective, we have already confirmed to the downside, and we can see that momentum oscillators are making lower lows and lower highs. We can also see the same thing on price action here on the weekly chart. We had our lows right here, and we have now confirmed a lower low than our previous lows. Again, throughout the history of Bitcoin, whenever we do confirm a lower low than our previous lows, we do get a dragged out bear market. For example, right over here, we had our lows, had a lower low, and we overall made our way much, much lower. Let's even look throughout the history over here. Once we see our first lower low, that was this one right over here, we see a continuation to the downside even more. Right over here, we had our first lower low, and this lower low actually got bought back up. So this is that same situation that I believe we're in right now. We're seeing one of those major pullbacks, and then we're going to see another year, maybe even longer, of just bullish momentum, straight parabolic momentum to the upside. We saw this in 2017 as well, but we were making consistent higher highs and higher lows throughout this structure. So that's why I'm thinking this is going to be similar to the 2011 to 2013 bull run. We're going to see a little bit of rejection here. We're going to see some sideways action, and then we're going to see overall continuation, in my opinion. The monthly, again, already bouncing from that 10 simple moving average. But if this market was to decide to go into a full-on bear market, what is the lowest that we think this price should be heading? Well, we can look at these previous market structure supports and resistances. I actually do have it drawn in here already, I see. And it comes in around about $19,540. So that could be the lowest low, in my opinion, for Bitcoin if it was to break lower than where we are already at right now. That would be lining up with the 200 simple and exponential moving average by that point. And now let's have a look at what we see to the upside on the weekly chart. We have this liquidity zone currently governing price action as resistance, and we have this liquidity zone down here currently governing price action as support. We also have this major liquidity zone right here between this low and this low. So we could be rejected not here, but all the way up here. So that means Bitcoin could easily have a bounce all the way back up to around about $45,000 per coin, looking on the weekly chart. On the daily chart, we can also get more or less a similar idea here. What we can see on the daily chart, it looks a little bit convoluted here, sorry about that. But on the daily chart, the 21 exponential moving average is coming in around about $45,000 per Bitcoin. So on the daily 21 exponential, once we see bullish divergence confirmed on the daily that we've already seen, we could see a bounce as high as the 21 exponential moving average, which kind of does line up with this previous liquidity zone right here, these equal lows that we saw before the major rally again to the ultimate top. So Bitcoin could be bouncing quite dramatically from this point. But looking at momentum oscillators on lower time frames, that's going to be the best way to play this particular market, in my opinion. So momentum oscillators pointing north, but we are running out of volume already. So this entire structure here has got very little volume. So I would take every single move we see right now with a grain of salt on all of the cryptos. Don't think that the bottom is going to be in that quick, that easy. It's possible, and we might see continuation from this point. And if we do, we'll be very keen to be buyers again in this market and take some long positions. But I would remain bearish on Bitcoin for as long as we do close 4-hour candles below, what is this, $39,800 per Bitcoin. So I did adjust this a little bit. I talked about 36,800 yesterday. We closed a 4-hour candle above that, and we did continue to the upside. But for me, in my opinion, that was a very high risk trade. We didn't quite see a high taken out just yet, but now we have. We have now seen that Bitcoin did take out our previous swing high with a higher high. So is it possible that we're going to be seeing a higher low on our next pullback from here, and perhaps 36,777 could be a buy opportunity? Well, we'll have to reassess and look at that. The fact that the momentum oscillators are already kind of up there in the critical zones, while price is moving higher with very low volume and barely breaking major structure, I think this is overall just a bearish reset before we see an overall continuation to the downside. Perhaps one more sweep to the low side before we see continuation with the bull run. Okay, so that's Bitcoin. I'm going to be looking for any kind of 4-hour candle close above 39,750 with decent amount of volume. I'm going to take a long position here, and then we'll cancel the short position. I'm just holding this here. I'm not going to put this out as a limit order yet until I see certain criteria has been met for us to short. But I'd be a buyer if we did come back down to around about 36,750 or 39,750. That's basically the range I'm looking for it for Bitcoin to respect right now, and hopefully break to the upside. To the same token, if we do break below $35,600, I'd be looking to go short on Bitcoin to the downside. So for Ethereum here, Ethereum is a little bit more tricky. and I'm going to jump into the weekly chart first, bouncing off the 21 exponential moving average. Remember, with the longer term strategy, that's usually where you buy long-term positions. You can see throughout history that the 21 exponential moving average was and always will be a fantastic area to be a buyer in the market, especially on the weekly chart. So looking at it bouncing from here, I do think we're going to see one more spike to the lows here. Just looking at volume, also overall just plummeting down. We saw quite a bit of volume on the selling side here, major divergences on momentum oscillators, and we do see stochastics pointing south on a weekly chart. So I wouldn't take that too lightly, given the fact that we are seeing quite a bit of volume on those sellers. Right now, Ethereum is testing the 55 exponential as resistance. We did not quite see any kind of bullish divergence or any kind of signals of a low being in just yet. So I'm not seeing any signals of potential low structures on any of these cryptos. Perhaps short term, yes, but longer term and medium term, I'm still overall bearish on this market. On the 4-hour chart, already making it all the way back up there into those critical zones. We do have this liquidity zone currently governing price action as resistance. You can see that we were rejected by that already. And then we do have this liquidity zone to the downside that could be governing price action as support. So I'm going to be looking to be a buyer around here as soon as we get some volume behind this market. We did break through with some decent volume, but I want to see what happens once New York session begins after 12 South African Standard Time. Let's see what does the New York session want to bring in terms of volume to the market before I take any positions today, because this market is very flimsy at the moment and this could go either way. So we want to make sure that we're on the right side of the market, of course. All right, the next one we're going to talk about is BNB. So all of these cryptos are more or less similar. BNB right now is looking to be a buy opportunity, but it has not closed a 4-hour candle above my liquidity zone just yet. So I'd expect a move back up to 402, but I want to see this candle close above. We've already seen the volume. I just want to see this candle close above, then we can enter a limit order for a long position from right over here. And what I want to do with this long position is I'm probably just going to go for a one-to-one risk reward there. Given the fact that this market is currently in a downtrend, I don't want to be on the wrong side of this market too quickly or too soon. So I'd go for a one-to-one risk reward here, and I'd rather take the short opportunity up here and see if I can get a 1-to-2 risk reward ratio on that. Going to have a stop loss just above our previous swing highs right here, and we'll go for a 1-to-2 risk reward as I've already stated, bringing us back down to the same liquidity zone. So I'd be looking for BNB to probably just fill out this range, perhaps even create a right shoulder. This could then be an inverted head and shoulders pattern. This could be the neckline. Once the neckline is broken, we can see a measured move, probably going to be pointing back up to somewhere around these highs we saw around the beginning of May. Okay, so BNB looking pretty strong here. I think I will be a short-term buyer, but overall, I want to catch the short side of this market. Litecoin. Litecoin also currently looking like it wants to break out. We don't really see the volume here, and that's what's making me skeptical about this price action. I definitely want to short Litecoin if we can get a retest of this liquidity zone up here. I'd put the stop loss just above our previous swing highs, right over there, and probably a 1-to-2 risk reward would be on the cards here for Litecoin, seeing that we are downtrending and kind of the same pattern, very similar pattern. Left shoulder looking like that could be a left shoulder, spike on the left shoulder, spike on the head. And now once we see it come back down, I want to see a spike on that right shoulder. Then the volume signature would agree with us. And then once we break this neckline, we could easily target a move back up to around $334, $335 per Litecoin. Okay, so this one is looking overall strong. I wouldn't be a buyer around here unless we break that neckline. Remember that. So I'd be a short. I'd be a seller up here around $215 per Litecoin. ChainLink. I don't have any drawing tools on this one, unfortunately, but let's quickly just get them in there. So Chainlink currently holding this level as resistance. Again, I don't see much volume on the buyers right here. I do see a left shoulder with a spike in volume, a head, a potential head. So if we could see a pushback up to our resistance liquidity zone right up there and a rejection from that area, we could form our right shoulder, and this would be my neckline right there. So for me, I'd be a short, again, a seller, not a shorter, a seller around $30 per Chainlink. And I'd go for a 1 to 2 risk reward on that as well, trading with the trend. And obviously, the trend is to the downside. So it's looking good. And we'll keep an eye on that one as well. And then let's have a look quickly at Monero. So Monero is not similar to most of the cryptos we've just mentioned. It's already given us a major bullish divergence on the 4-hour here with equal lows, retesting that liquidity zone as support, holding that as support. If you guys can recall, this is more or less where we wanted to buy our first Monero go at it, and it just kept going. So I don't want to be a buyer if we come back down there again just yet. We are holding our resistance currently at this previous little order block that we can see right here. So for me right now, if Monero can't break above this liquidity zone, I would not be a buyer just yet. In fact, I would actually be looking to take some shorts here if the market gets rejected from this area. We do see a decrease in volume all the way up here. So I would be looking for this one to come back down overall. Maybe we could get a short position up here today or in the next couple of days. All right, so that's going to be it for the short video. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you trade safe out there, and I'll catch you in the next one. Cheers for now. Bye-bye.